You think Christmas desserts in the 1960s and 70s were all about simple sugar cookies and apple pie? Think again. These mid-century American kitchens churned out some of the most innovative, colorful, and wildly experimental sweet treats ever to grace a holiday table. They're real desserts served at real Christmas gatherings across suburban America. Let's dig into 25 Christmas desserts from the groovy era that somehow vanished from our holiday spreads, taking their technicolor glory and martini-infused magic with them. Traditional aged fruitcake. The traditional aged fruitcake wasn't the brick-hard joke everyone pretends to hate. It was a badge of honor for the American homemaker. Starting in September, grandmothers across suburbia would cream butter and dark brown sugar, beat in eggs, then fold in flour with cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and cloves. A full pound each of candied citrus peel, glacé cherries, golden raisins, and chopped walnuts went into the dense batter. After baking low and slow for 3 hours, the real magic began. Every week until Christmas, you'd unwrap the cake from its cheesecloth, brush it with brandy or rum, then rewrap it tight. The alcohol preserved the cake while infusing every crumb with boozy warmth. This wasn't just dessert, it was a 3-month commitment that connected post-war housewives to Victorian traditions. Serving a properly aged fruitcake at Christmas meant you were a woman who planned ahead, who honored heritage. Today's instant gratification culture killed this patient art form. If you're enjoying this journey through food history, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss future videos. Ambrosia Salad. Ambrosia Salad sounds like dessert, but showed up right next to the green bean casserole, confusing every kid in the 1960s. This southern-born favorite migrated to Christmas tables nationwide during the post-war era when canned fruits became affordable luxuries. You'd drain cans of mandarin oranges and pineapple chunks, then fold them with shredded coconut, miniature marshmallows, and maraschino cherries into clouds of whipped cream or sour cream. Some families added chopped pecans for crunch. Others threw in banana slices that turned brown by dinner time. The whole thing got chilled overnight in cut glass bowls, the marshmallows softening into the cream. Greeks named it food of the gods, but 1970s Americans made it a refrigerator staple. It appeared at every potluck, every church social, every family gathering. The sweet tart combo of citrus and cream, the chewy crunchy texture contrast, it straddled the line between side dish and dessert. Today's food purists can't handle that ambiguity, so ambrosia vanished along with other mayonnaise-based salads. Butterscotch Yule Log. The Butterscotch Yule Log took the French bûche de Noël and gave it a thoroughly American makeover with butterscotch pudding and Cool Whip. Traditional French Yule logs demanded Genoise sponge and ganache, but 1970s homemakers had shortcuts. You'd whip up a thin chocolate cake on a jelly roll pan, spread it with instant butterscotch pudding mixed with Cool Whip, then roll it tight while still warm. The cake would crack dramatically, and that was perfect because you'd frost the whole log with more butterscotch pudding mixture, then drag a fork through it lengthwise to mimic tree bark. Crushed Heath bars or butterscotch chips became moss, and you dust the whole thing with powdered sugar snow. This appeared on holiday tables when convenience foods were celebrated, not scorned. Using instant pudding wasn't cheating. It was modern, efficient, sophisticated. The log sat on silver platters surrounded by plastic holly, looking impressively European while tasting thoroughly American. It's the dessert that proved you were fancy without actually being fancy. Bananas Foster. Bananas Foster brought tableside theater to 1960s Christmas dinners, with flames leaping up as the rum ignited in copper chafing dishes. Created at Brennan's restaurant in New Orleans in 1951, this dessert hit peak popularity during the fondue and flambé-obsessed 60s and 70s. The host would melt butter with dark brown sugar in a pan, letting it bubble into caramel. Sliced bananas went in next, cooking until soft. Then banana liqueur splashed over them. The grand finale? pouring in dark rum and tilting the pan toward the flame, creating whooshing fire that burned off the alcohol while everyone gasped. The sauce got spooned over vanilla ice cream, hot meeting cold. This wasn't just dessert, it was performance art. Making it required confidence, showmanship, and expensive copper cookware displayed on sideboards. It said you'd traveled, you'd dined at fine establishments, you knew how to entertain. Today's dinner parties lack this dramatic flair, replaced by pre-bought tiramisu from Costco. Pineapple upside-down cake. Pineapple upside-down cake turned cast-iron skillets into edible art, with perfect caramelized rings and bright red cherries arranged like Christmas ornaments. This dessert exploded in the 1960s thanks to Dole's canned pineapple marketing. You'd melt butter with brown sugar in a cast-iron skillet directly on the stovetop, creating a bubbling caramel layer. Pineapple rings got arranged in precise circles, maraschino cherries centered in each hole. Yellow cake batter, made from scratch or Duncan Hines mix, poured over top, then the whole thing baked until golden. The flip was crucial. One confident motion inverting the skillet onto a plate, revealing the glossy, caramelized fruit pattern. Every church cookbook from 1965 to 1975 had 3 versions. It graced Formica countertops across America, the warm cake releasing steam while brown sugar syrup pooled around each slice. The combination of buttery cake and tangy pineapple, that crackling caramelized edge, it was retro-exotic. Modern food trends favor artisanal complications over this simple, foolproof beauty. Pumpkin bread. Pumpkin bread wasn't the trendy fall treat it is today. In the 70s, it was a dense, spiced Christmas loaf wrapped in foil and given as hostess gifts. This quick bread rose to fame when liberated canned pumpkin met the bundt pan boom. You'd beat together vegetable oil, white and brown sugar, eggs, and that entire can of Libby's pumpkin. Flour mixed with baking soda, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and ginger got folded in until just combined. Chopped walnuts or pecans added crunch. The batter divided between 2 standard loaf pans, baking until a toothpick came out clean. The texture was impossibly moist, almost pudding-like, staying fresh for days. Women baked dozens of loaves in December, wrapping them in red and green foil for neighbors, teachers, and postal carriers. The spice combination filled houses with the smell of the holidays. Unlike pumpkin pie requiring crust skills, this bread was forgiving, foolproof. You couldn't mess it up. It disappeared because food culture shifted from homemade gifting to fancy chocolates in boxes, killing this generous tradition. Black Forest cake. Black Forest cake brought German sophistication to American Christmas tables, though most versions bore little resemblance to authentic Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte. The Americanized 1970s version started with chocolate cake layers, usually from a box mix enhanced with extra eggs and oil. Between each layer went cherry pie filling straight from the can, sweetened whipped cream, and sometimes chocolate pudding for extra richness. The entire cake got frosted with stabilized whipped cream, then pressed with chocolate shavings on the sides. Maraschino cherries crowned the top, their chemical red color bleeding slightly into the white cream. Authentic German versions used kirsch-soaked sponge and sour cherries, but American home bakers simplified everything. The result was sweeter, richer, easier. It looked elegant on cake stands, the dark and white layers visible through glass. Serving it at Christmas dinner meant you'd attempted something European and fancy. Today's cake culture demands from scratch everything and farmers market ingredients, leaving no room for this shortcut spectacular. Texas sheet cake. Texas sheet cake earned its name from sheer size. Baked in sheet pans and cut into squares, it could feed 50 people at church potlucks. This chocolate phenomenon started on stovetops, not in mixing bowls. Butter, cocoa powder, and water got boiled together, then poured over flour and sugar in a bowl. Buttermilk, eggs, baking soda, and vanilla whisked in quickly. The thin batter spread across an entire jelly roll pan, baking fast and even. But here's where magic happened. The frosting went on while the cake was still oven hot. More butter, cocoa, and milk got boiled, then mixed with powdered sugar and poured over the steaming cake. It melted into every crack and crevice, creating a fudgy, almost brownie-like top layer. Chopped pecans scattered over the wet icing added crunch. This cake appeared at every 1970s gathering where quantity mattered as much as quality. One pan, 48 squares, 0 fuss. The ultra-thin layers meant maximum frosting to cake ratio. It's the dessert that proved bigger really was better. Mississippi Mud Pie. Mississippi Mud Pie lived up to its name, a dense, fudgy, utterly indulgent chocolate experience that looked like river bottom and tasted like heaven. The crust started with crushed Oreos mixed with melted butter, pressed into pie plates and chilled. The filling was pure decadence. Melted chocolate chips, butter, eggs, sugar, and sometimes a shot of bourbon or Kahlua, beaten until glossy. This thick mixture spread into the crust, then baked until just set with a crackly top. After cooling, miniature marshmallows got scattered across the surface. Then the pie went under the broiler until the marshmallows toasted golden. The final layer was chocolate ganache, or fudge sauce, poured over everything, with whipped cream and pecans on top. Every layer had a different texture: crunchy cookie crust, fudgy filling, melty marshmallows, silky ganache. It was excessive, unapologetic richness. Served at Christmas, it announced you weren't counting calories or worrying about sophistication. You were diving face first into chocolate excess. Modern desserts aim for balanced flavors, which is exactly why this died out. Watergate Salad. Watergate Salad earned its scandalous name in the 1970s, though nobody knows if it was the cover-up green color or the nutty connection to politics. This refrigerator dessert combined instant pistachio pudding mix, the powdered stuff in the box, with canned crushed pineapple undrained. Mini marshmallows and chopped pecans or walnuts got folded in. Then the whole thing was lightened with Cool Whip. No baking, no cooking, just stirring and chilling. The pudding mix reacted with the pineapple juice, creating a fluffy, pale green mixture that set up in the fridge overnight. Some families added maraschino cherries for red and green Christmas colors. It appeared at every holiday gathering alongside ambrosia, another salad that was pure dessert. The pistachio flavor was subtle, almost artificial, but that didn't matter. What mattered was the effortless preparation, the retro green color, the fun name. Kids loved it. Adults pretended to be sophisticated while eating bright green fluff. When food culture decided convenience foods were shameful, Watergate Salad became a casualty of changing tastes. Butterscotch Haystacks. Butterscotch Haystacks looked like miniature golden haystacks scattered across wax paper, requiring zero baking skills and maximum butterscotch chips. These no-bake candies started with butterscotch chips melted in a double boiler or microwave until smooth. Crunchy chow mein noodles, the crispy kind from cans, got stirred into the melted butterscotch until every strand was coated. Some recipes added salted peanuts or cashews for extra crunch and salt contrast. Using 2 spoons, you drop mounds onto wax paper, shaping them into rough haystack forms while the butterscotch was still warm. They set up at room temperature in about 30 minutes, becoming chewy, crunchy, bite-sized treats. Kids could make these unsupervised, which made them popular for school Christmas parties and scout troop gatherings. The sweet butterscotch coating against the salty, crunchy noodles created an addictive combination. They stored well in tins, improving over several days. Modern candy culture favors artisanal chocolates over these humble butterscotch clusters, forgetting that simple can be spectacular. Divinity Candy. Divinity Candy tested Southern grandmother's skills. This temperamental meringue-based confection succeeded only on low humidity days, making it Christmas perfect. Sugar, corn syrup, and water boiled together to exactly 260 degrees Fahrenheit, hardball stage on candy thermometers. Meanwhile, egg whites whipped to stiff peaks in stand mixers. The boiling syrup drizzled slowly into the whites while the mixer ran, creating a glossy, marshmallow-like mixture. Vanilla extract and chopped pecans folded in at the end. Working quickly before it set, you'd drop spoonfuls onto wax paper, creating fluffy white clouds. The candy dried for hours, developing a slight crust while staying chewy inside. Making successful Divinity was a badge of honor. High humidity ruined it, making it weep or refuse to set. Experienced candy makers checked weather forecasts before attempting batches. The pure white color, often tinted pink for Christmas, looked angelic on candy plates. It tasted like sweetened clouds with nutty crunch. Today's instant gratification culture has no patience for humidity-dependent candy that requires precision timing. Harvey Wallbanger Cake. Harvey Wallbanger Cake brought the popular 1970s cocktail into dessert form, complete with orange flavor and a hefty dose of Galliano liqueur. This boozy bundt cake started with yellow cake mix doctored with instant vanilla pudding mix, eggs, oil, orange juice, vodka, and Galliano, that tall yellow bottle of herbal Italian liqueur. Everything beat together until smooth, then poured into a greased bundt pan and baked until golden. While still warm, you'd poke holes across the top with a skewer, then slowly pour a glaze made from powdered sugar, more orange juice, and more Galliano over the cake. It soaked in, creating pockets of sweet, boozy flavor throughout. The cake tasted decidedly adult, orange forward with subtle anise notes from the Galliano. Serving it meant your holiday party was sophisticated, modern, a little bit wild. It sat on sideboards next to actual Harvey Wallbanger cocktails. When cocktail culture shifted away from sweet, liqueur-based drinks, these cakes vanished too. Bacardi Rum Cake. Bacardi Rum Cake turned cheap rum into liquid gold, creating the moistest cake ever to grace a Christmas dessert table. Yellow cake mix got enhanced with instant vanilla pudding, eggs, oil, water, and dark Bacardi rum. Chopped pecans or walnuts scattered across the bottom of a greased bundt pan before the batter poured in. After baking, the crucial step began. While the cake was still oven hot, you'd poke it full of holes and pour over a butter sugar rum sauce, letting it soak completely. Some families made the sauce by boiling butter, sugar, water, and a full cup of rum until syrupy. The cake stayed in the pan for hours, absorbing every drop. The result was devastatingly moist, almost pudding-like, with a crunchy nut layer on top once flipped. It tasted more sophisticated than its cake mix origins suggested. The rum wasn't subtle. You could taste it, smell it, feel it. Responsible hosts warned designated drivers. Modern liability concerns killed this booze-forward dessert tradition. Grasshopper Pie. Grasshopper Pie brought mint green magic to Christmas tables, tasting exactly like the creme de menthe cocktail it was named after. The crust crushed Oreos or chocolate wafer cookies mixed with melted butter, pressed firm and chilled. The filling whipped together marshmallow cream or melted marshmallows with heavy cream until fluffy, then folded in green creme de menthe and clear creme de cacao liqueurs. Some versions added a few drops of green food coloring for extra vibrant color. The mixture set up in the fridge for several hours, becoming mousse-like and pale mint green. Whipped cream rosettes and chocolate shavings decorated the top, sometimes with a drizzle of chocolate sauce. This pie screamed 1970s sophistication. Minty, boozy, artificially colored, and named after a cocktail. It looked stunning, that pale green filling against dark cookie crust. The mint wasn't natural peppermint. It was sweet, liqueur smooth, adult. When health trends vilified artificial colors and cocktail culture moved toward craft mixology, Grasshopper Pie became a relic. Oatmeal Scotchies. Oatmeal Scotchies were Nestle's answer to chocolate chip cookies, swapping chocolate for butterscotch chips in chewy oatmeal rounds. The dough creamed together butter with white and brown sugar until fluffy, then beat in eggs and vanilla, flour, baking soda, cinnamon, and salt mixed with old-fashioned oats until thick and hearty. An entire bag of butterscotch chips folded in last. Dropped by rounded tablespoons onto cookie sheets, they baked until golden at the edges, but still soft in the centers. The trick was pulling them from the oven when they looked slightly underbaked. They'd finish setting on the cooling rack. These cookies appeared in every Christmas cookie tin throughout the 1960s and 70s, their golden color perfect for holiday presentations. The combination of chewy oats, sweet butterscotch, and hint of cinnamon created something comforting and different from standard chocolate chip. When butterscotch fell out of fashion in favor of salted caramel and dark chocolate, these homey cookies disappeared from rotation. Tomato soup fruitcake. Tomato soup fruitcake sounds insane until you remember how carrot cake works. Vegetables create moisture and subtle flavor in unexpected ways. This Depression-era recipe found new life in the 1960s when Campbell's promoted it heavily. You'd cream butter with sugar, beat in eggs, then add an entire can of condensed tomato soup, undiluted. Flour mixed with baking soda, cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg got folded in alternately with the soup. Raisins, candied fruit, and chopped nuts studded the thick batter. It baked low and slow like traditional fruitcake, developing a deep reddish-brown color. The tomato flavor was undetectable in the finished cake. Instead, it provided acidity and moisture that kept the cake tender for weeks. Robert Redford cake. Robert Redford cake got its name because it was supposedly better looking than Robert Redford, which was a bold claim in the 1970s. The crust combined flour, chopped pecans, and melted butter, pressed into a 9x13 pan and baked until golden. After cooling, you'd spread a layer of sweetened cream cheese mixed with Cool Whip across the crust. The next layer was chocolate or vanilla instant pudding, made slightly thicker than normal and chilled until set. More Cool Whip went on top. Then the whole thing got decorated with chocolate shavings, more pecans, or drizzled chocolate sauce. Each layer had distinct texture and flavor, creating what was essentially an easy layered dessert. It appeared at church potlucks, bridge club meetings, and Christmas dinners throughout the 70s. The no-bake convenience meant anyone could make it, yet the multiple layers looked impressive. The cream cheese layer was tangy against sweet pudding. The nutty crust added crunch. When dessert culture demanded baking skills over assembly skills, Robert Redford cake faded away. Tunnel of Fudge cake. Tunnel of Fudge cake won the 1966 Pillsbury Bake-Off and launched a bundt pan buying frenzy across America. This engineering marvel required precise technique. Butter and sugar creamed until fluffy, then eggs beat in one at a time. Flour mixed with cocoa powder and a full box of Pillsbury's Double Dutch Fudge frosting mix. The dry mix, not prepared frosting. Chopped walnuts folded in last. The crucial part was baking time. Exactly 60 minutes at 350 degrees. No more, no less. Underbaking left the center raw. Overbaking eliminated the signature fudgy tunnel. When done perfectly, the outer cake baked through while the center remained molten and gooey. The cake cooled completely in the pan. Cutting it warm ruined the tunnel effect. Slicing revealed concentric rings, firm chocolate cake, then a layer of fudgy texture, then the molten center. It was chocolate intensity in architectural form. When Pillsbury discontinued the specific frosting mix required, home bakers couldn't replicate it accurately, and the recipe died. Hello Dollies, Magic Cookie Bars. Hello Dollies, also called Magic Cookie Bars, required exactly 6 ingredients and 0 mixing bowls. Pure 1970s convenience magic. You'd melt an entire stick of butter in a 9x13 pan directly in the oven, then tilt to coat the bottom. Graham cracker crumbs pressed into the melted butter formed the crust. Next came layers without mixing. Chocolate chips scattered across the graham crackers, then butterscotch chips, then shredded coconut, then chopped pecans or walnuts. The final ingredient, a can of sweetened condensed milk, poured over everything, seeping down through the layers. The whole thing baked until golden and bubbling. Cutting them while warm was impossible. They needed overnight chilling to set properly. The sweetened condensed milk bound everything into chewy, gooey bars with crispy edges. Every layer remained distinct but cohesive. Kids made these for Christmas gifts because failure was nearly impossible. Modern desserts require technique. These required only the ability to open cans and pour. Baked Alaska. Baked Alaska brought impossible science to Christmas dinners. Ice cream and cake going into a hot oven and emerging frozen but bronzed. The base was a layer of sponge cake or pound cake, topped with hard frozen ice cream shaped into a dome. The entire thing got covered in thick meringue. Egg whites whipped with sugar until glossy, stiff peaks formed. Every bit of ice cream needed complete coverage, no gaps, or it would melt. The meringue got swirled into decorative peaks with a spatula. Then the whole dessert went into a screaming hot oven, 500 degrees, for just 3 to 5 minutes. The meringue browned while the insulating air pockets kept the ice cream frozen. Smart hosts assembled these hours ahead, keeping them frozen until the dramatic oven moment. Serving baked Alaska meant you understood chemistry, had timing skills, and weren't afraid of showmanship. Flambeing it with rum added extra theater. When dinner parties became casual and show-stopping desserts fell from favor, this spectacular died out. Chocolate fondue. Chocolate fondue turned dessert into participatory entertainment, with bubbling pots of melted chocolate surrounded by plates of dipping options. The fondue pot, usually harvest gold or avocado green, sat in the table's center over a sterno flame. Inside, chocolate chips or chopped chocolate melted with heavy cream and a splash of liqueur like Grand Marnier or Kahlua, stirred until silky smooth. Around the pot, arranged on platters, were cubed pound cake, fresh strawberries, banana slices, marshmallows, and cubed brownies, all speared on fondue forks. Guests would dip their selections, swirling them through the chocolate, then carefully transport them to plates. This wasn't just dessert. It was an event that stretched over an hour. Lime Christmas Jell-O Salad. Lime Christmas Jell-O Salad brought unnaturally bright green shimmer to holiday spreads, proving gelatin could suspend absolutely anything. Lime Jell-O dissolved in boiling water, then cold water or 7-Up added for extra fizz. Before it fully set, you'd fold in drained, crushed pineapple, cottage cheese or cream cheese, mini marshmallows, chopped celery for crunch, and sometimes chopped pecans. The mixture poured into a ring mold or 9x13 dish, then chilled overnight until firm. Unmolding required dipping the mold briefly in warm water, then inverting onto a lettuce-lined platter. The center of ring molds often filled with additional whipped cream or mayo-based dressing. The flavor combination was bizarre to modern palates. Sweet gelatin, tangy cheese, crunchy vegetables. But 1960s and 70s palates loved this sweet, savory confusion. The bright lime color looked festive next to cranberry sauce. It was called salad, despite being pure sugar, making it acceptable to serve before dessert. When gelatin molds fell catastrophically out of style, these architectural wonders vanished. Cranberry Soufflé Salad. Cranberry soufflé salad wasn't actually a soufflé. It was frozen cranberry fluff that sat in the freezer until serving time. Whole berry cranberry sauce combined with crushed pineapple, both drained well. Whipped cream folded in gently, along with miniature marshmallows and chopped walnuts. Some recipes added a dollop of mayo or cream cheese for tang and stability. The mixture spread into a 9x13 pan or individual muffin tins, then froze solid for at least 6 hours. Served frozen or partially thawed, it had an airy, ice cream-like texture. The name soufflé made it sound fancy, French, sophisticated. The reality was simpler, but no less delicious. The tart cranberries balanced the sweet whipped cream. The frozen texture was refreshing after heavy holiday meals. It could be made weeks ahead, reducing Christmas Day stress. Modern culture's rejection of frozen convenience desserts and suspicion of whipped topping killed this make-ahead marvel that actually served a practical purpose. Banana pudding. Moving on, let's explore banana pudding. This Southern classic has a storied past, deeply rooted in American culinary history. The dessert's origins can be traced back to the late 19th century when it was inspired by the English trifle, a layered dessert of fruit, cake, and custard. American cooks adapted this concept, adding layers of sliced bananas and vanilla wafers to create a new, distinctly American treat. The introduction of vanilla wafers by the National Biscuit Company in 1898, later known as Nabisco, played a crucial role in popularizing banana pudding. The dessert became a staple in Southern homes, often served at gatherings and picnics. Its rich, creamy texture and the comforting sweetness of bananas made it a favorite, particularly during the post-World War II era. Despite a decline in its everyday presence on dining tables, banana pudding still holds a special place in Southern cuisine and often reappears at potlucks and family reunions, where it continues to be a symbol of homey hospitality and nostalgic comfort. Before we move to the next dessert, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Your support means a lot to our small channel. Chiffon cake. The cloud-like chiffon cake was once America's dessert sensation. Created in the 1920s but kept secret until 1947, when the recipe was sold to General Mills, this airy cake combined the richness of butter cakes with the lightness of angel food cake. Throughout the 1950s, homemakers clipped chiffon cake recipes from magazines and showed off their baking skills with these tall, fluffy creations. Available in orange, chocolate, and other flavors, chiffon cake was considered the modern, sophisticated alternative to traditional cakes. While still occasionally made, the true chiffon cake, with its perfect texture and towering height, has largely been replaced by simpler desserts. The careful technique required to achieve the perfect consistency has become a lost art in most American kitchens since the busy 1970s changed home cooking forever. Viennetta. Viennetta is a nostalgic ice cream dessert introduced by Walls in 1982. Renowned for its elegant appearance, Viennetta features alternating layers of creamy vanilla ice cream and crisp chocolate, creating a visually striking and delicious treat. Its unique design, with layers that fan out when sliced, quickly made it a popular choice for special occasions and celebrations. Viennetta's sophisticated combination of smooth ice cream and crunchy chocolate layers offered a luxurious twist on traditional frozen desserts, capturing the essence of indulgence and style from the 80s and 90s. Its enduring appeal continues to evoke fond memories of festive gatherings and special moments. Nesselrode Pudding. Few desserts capture the opulence of bygone days like Nesselrode Pudding. Named after Count Karl Nesselrode, a Russian diplomat, this frozen custard was studded with candied fruits, nuts, and often soaked in rum. It was essentially the luxury ice cream of the Victorian and Edwardian eras. The pudding required special equipment and extensive preparation, making it a symbol of status and refinement. Dinner parties in the early 20th century might feature Nesselrode pudding as the grand finale. As household refrigeration improved in the 1930s, commercial ice creams became widely available, and the complicated Nesselrode pudding fell from favor. Today, few people have even heard its name, though it once graced the menus of the finest establishments. Tunnel of Fudge Cake. Tunnel of Fudge Cake is a decadent dessert that became famous in the late 1960s, known for its rich chocolate flavor and gooey, fudgy center. This cake rose to popularity after a recipe won the 1966 Pillsbury Bake-Off contest. The appeal of Tunnel of Fudge lies in its unique texture. While the outer layer of the cake is moist and dense, the center remains soft and molten, creating a delightful fudge tunnel inside. Made with simple ingredients like cocoa powder, butter, and nuts, this cake became a beloved treat for chocolate lovers, perfect for special occasions and family gatherings. Its gooey, indulgent center and rich chocolate flavor make it a memorable and cherished dessert from the era. Dacquoise. This elegant French dessert, layers of almond or hazelnut meringue alternating with whipped cream or buttercream, was once the pinnacle of sophisticated European-style baking in America. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, accomplished home bakers and pastry chefs created these labor-intensive showstoppers for special occasions. The contrast between crisp meringue and creamy filling made dacquoise an unforgettable sensory experience. As simpler desserts gained favor and fewer Americans had time for complex baking projects, dacquoise gradually faded from home kitchens. Today, this once celebrated creation is rarely seen outside upscale patisseries and baking competitions, a forgotten taste of mid-century American elegance that has all but disappeared from our collective memory. Apple Brown Betty. Now let's travel back to simpler times with Apple Brown Betty. This dessert has a rich history that stretches back to colonial America, embodying the essence of rustic, homey cooking. Originally referred to as Betty or Apple Betty, this dessert combines layers of tart apples with a buttery spiced breadcrumb or oat topping. The concept is believed to have been brought to America by early settlers from Britain, where layered fruit puddings were a popular dish. The American version, with its heartwarming aroma and comforting texture, became a staple in home kitchens, especially during harvest seasons when apples were abundant. By the 1920s, Apple Brown Betty was celebrated as a symbol of American culinary tradition, reflecting the nation's love for hearty, uncomplicated fare. Despite its decline in mainstream popularity, it remains a beloved classic, often making appearances during family gatherings and holiday meals, cherished for its simplicity and the warm memories it evokes. Rhumbaba. Rhumbaba, also known as baba au rhum, is a classic French dessert with a rich history and a distinctive flavor profile. This elegant treat consists of a light yeasted cake that's soaked in a generous amount of rum syrup, giving it a moist, boozy kick. Originating in the 18th century, Rhumbaba's name is said to be inspired by the character of Ali Baba from the Arabian Nights, reflecting its exotic appeal. The cake is typically topped with whipped cream or fresh fruit, adding a touch of sweetness and texture to the rum-soaked sponge. Its indulgent nature and delightful rum-soaked flavor have made Rhumbaba a timeless favorite for special occasions and elegant gatherings. Baked Alaska. Baked Alaska, that magical combination of ice cream encased in meringue and briefly baked, was once the ultimate wow dessert at mid-century dinner parties. Its dramatic presentation, often flambéed tableside, made it a staple of 1950s and 1960s entertaining. Originally created to celebrate the American purchase of Alaska in 1867, this dessert relied on the scientific principle that the insulating meringue would protect the ice cream from the oven's heat. Preparing it was considered the mark of a skilled host or hostess. While still occasionally found on restaurant menus, Baked Alaska has largely disappeared from home kitchens, pushed aside by simpler desserts and changing entertaining styles. For many Gen X children, witnessing their parents serve this fiery creation remains a vivid memory of special occasions. Pecan pie. Next up, let's dive into pecan pie, a quintessential Southern dessert with a rich history. The origins of pecan pie are somewhat murky, but it is widely believed to have been influenced by French settlers in New Orleans, who were introduced to the pecan nut by Native Americans. The pie gained prominence in the early 20th century, particularly in the 1920s and 1930s, when recipes began appearing in Texas cookbooks. The key ingredient, Caro syrup, played a significant role in popularizing the pie. Caro's recipe, which appeared on syrup bottles, made pecan pie an accessible and beloved dish across America. The pie's gooey filling, studded with toasted pecans, quickly became a staple at holiday gatherings, especially during Thanksgiving. Despite its decline in popularity due to health concerns and changing tastes, pecan pie remains a cherished tradition. Its rich, nutty flavor and comforting texture continue to make it a favorite at festive occasions and family dinners, embodying the spirit of Southern hospitality.